Okay, good morning, guys. Today we're going to talk about various types of assessment for young learners. And first of all, we should identify what's the assessment itself and why we need assess for our learners, any learners, not only young learners, but also adult learners also. And assessment is a critical component of education for any kind of learners, as I mentioned, and it helps us, teachers, to determine our pupils' growth, progress, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what areas that need improvement. And also it helps students understand what they have learned and what should they learn in the future and how to improve their language skills. And also today we are going to explore the presentation, and this presentation will look at different types of assessment. And first type of assessment is a formative assessment. First of all, I should mention that it's an ongoing assessment because it should be done throughout the one term or throughout the one academic year. And in this type of assessment, we should include various kind of assessments. For example, it can include in-class activities. For example, we can give some worksheets to our students to assess their one particular skills maybe, or we can create group discussion and assess their maybe speaking skills or pronunciation maybe. And sometimes questioning can help us in order to have a formative assessment. And the next one is homework assignments. It's assigning regular homework. As you know, at the end of our lesson, we should give one type of homework according to our theme, and also after a while in our next lesson we should check it and assess our pupils. And also it is considered as a formative assessment because it's a regular assessment and we should have in every lesson. And observation also can help us. For example, teacher can regularly observe their student performance during the lesson, maybe during the term, and according to their task achievement or task doing tasks, we can assess them. And the last one is assessment for learning. It's ongoing process. It can help. It can provide survey student progress, and it can help us to provide our students with feedback, proper feedback, and also allowing for real-time intervention and support for our pupils. Okay. And the next type is summative assessment. We can say we can call this type of assessment it's our final exam maybe. And I should tell what it's held at the end of the year or at the end of one's term from the students. And it can be our final exam. As you know, at the end of our one term, we should take final exams from our students, and according to their results, we can put overall marks for them. And the next one is standardized tests. These tests are used to evaluate students' progress and also related to peers and at a particular academic level. And the next one is projects presentation. As we know, we can give some project works throughout our term, and we can collect when our students submit them at the end of the term, and we can evaluate their projects at the end of the term maybe. And portfolios, you know what's portfolios? It's a collection of students' works which they did during the whole term, during our whole lesson. And the next type is diagnostic assessment. It will be initial assessment, and it can be to identify their level. For example, we can do this kind of assessment. We can take this kind of assessment at the beginning of the year in order to identify their level, what kind of knowledge they have, and what we should teach them throughout our next year, and what's their weakness and what's their strengths maybe. Okay, and this kind of assessments can include observations and checklists also, and another type of assessments. And last one is authentic assessment. It is a real world it is based on the real world scenarios. For example, its application of theoretical knowledge to practical one. In other words, when we learn something, we should put them into practice, yes, and we should produce something. For example, we learn some vocabulary and we should use it in our speaking, or we should use some grammar rules and we should use in our writing this kind of rules. This is authentic assessment. When we assess this kind of thing from our pupils' works, it's considered as authentic assessment. And it can be also peer review. For example, sometimes we can give opportunity to our students to evaluate their peers, of course, and in that time they feel themselves as a teacher, as an evaluator, and they can assess their peers' mistakes, their correct doings maybe. And also role play can be used as an authentic assessment. For example, we can give role playing one dialogue. Yes, we can give some role playing for our pupils according to their theme. For example, their theme can be shopping maybe, yes, and we can give some kind of related dialects according to shopping theme. And they should put into practice their knowledge, yes, which them learned previously. These are 4 types of assessments. They are main one, and let's talk about benefits of varied assessments. In this time, at the time, I should mention we cannot use only one type of assessment. For example, only formative assessment or only summative assessment. We can use variety of assessments, and it has some beneficial sides, of course. And the first one is broader understanding. Yes, when we assess one student, we cannot focus on one size of or one successful size of our pupils. We should take into consideration their weaknesses, some factors that can influence their performance. Yes, and it also when we use varied assessments, it can make us it can allow us to understand them broader. Okay, and the next one is increased motivation. Yes, of course, when we use some kind of motivational tasks, it is really helpful because when our pupils get some motivation, they can try to study harder and harder. And the next one, different learning styles. Yes, we have different learning styles. For example, kinesthetic learning, audiolingual learning, and visual learners. Yes, learners. Sorry, not learnings. And we should take into consideration their learning styles. Our pupils' learning styles. For example, we can have one student who has who is a visual learner. Yes, for example, when you bring some pictures of new vocabulary, this kind of pupil can learn something better. And the last one is enhances learning environment. Yes, you should create a relaxed atmosphere for your students, because when we make some rules, strict rules for them, it can be it can block our students' mind, and it will be a mistake from by us. Of course, when we choose assessment, we should think carefully, because it's really important to plan our assessment previously. Okay, and for example, we have some consideration when we choose appropriate assessment. For example, we should define our objectives. We should have clear objective, because it's necessary to create effective assessment. Okay, and the next one is considering learner profiles. Yes, we should consider their different styles of learning, or including those with physical, emotional, intellectual differences, and of course cultural differences. And the next one is focusing on feedback. As I mentioned, we should give effective feedback for our learners. And the next one is aligning with learning goals. We should ensure the assessment supports the identified learning objectives, help learners to visualize how they are developing. They should understand whether they are developing or not. Okay. And and the next one is implementing assessment effectively. We should we should consider some crucial aspect of assessment. For example, regularity. Assessment should be regularly, and assessments are should be regularly scheduled, of course, and planned in advance. As I mentioned, you should plan beforehand, and transparent, provide consistency to students while bearing in mind. Okay, the next one is clarity. Of course, we have our assessment should be clear, understandable, comprehensible for our pupils. And the next one, intervention. Using assessments as an opportunity to intervene, provide additional support when our students struggle to learn something, okay, or acquire language. And the last one is transparency. It's the feedback, providing learners with a clear view of their progress. And last but not least thing, it's the tips for providing feedback to young learners. As I mentioned above, we should provide feedback, and they should be supportive, specific, and we should be careful when we give feedback for our students, because we shouldn't harm their feelings, of course, and we shouldn't demotivate them, of course, and you should be careful. That's all.